All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. It's been one of those weeks, so I haven't really been actively posting on the channel. But I was able to do a quick review when I was at my aunt and uncle's house the other day. We had ordered a fight, had a bunch of family friends over. My dad was there, but he had to cut out early. Um, my aunt like kind of slithered into the video. She doesn't watch boxing like that. She was just coming on just to be herself. But yeah, we ordered a fight. Actually, we ordered it twice because we had it in two different rooms in the house. All right, and listen, let's start off with talking about this. All right, there's a lot I want to cover in this video. Let's start out with this. Look, I had made a comment about people not really being satisfied with the fight. And you got to look at it like this, man. And some of you Wilder fans, and this is what I mean. I just don't like extremes. I don't like extremes. I don't like people that are not willing to give Wilder his credit when it's due. But I don't like when people try to overhype every accomplishment that Wilder has made up to this point in his career. Right? I can't deal with the extremes. There are a lot of extremes out there. And I had made a comment about people not really being satisfied or they weren't impressed with the performance that night. Why? Because we went 7 rounds to get one punch. Okay? Uh, it's a boxing match. And people do appreciate the sweet science. People love the knockouts. But people like skill set too. I mean, that's what boxing is about, the sweet science. And not everyone is going to be impressed with his boxing ability. People are not going to like it. It is what it is. There's a lot of people that don't like it. And they shouldn't be attacked for not liking Wilder. There's a lot of people that don't like him. Some people do like him. Some people love him. People love the knockouts. The knockout was great, but if you look at the highlights of that fight against Ortiz, there is only one Wilder highlight. Outside of landing a few shots here and there, the majority of people thought he lost every round leading up to that 7th round. Okay? I personally thought Luis was doing better in this fight than he was in the first fight. Outside of hurting Wilder in that 7th round, I thought round by round, Ortiz was fighting a better fight. All right, but he was putting a lot of pressure on Wilder, which wasn't expected, but he was doing well. It's just that when he got caught, he got caught. And as we're watching the fight, I was saying to my folks, I was like, listen, Wilder just needs to land one punch, and it came in the 7th round. Okay, it's not like the Brazil fight where Wilder knocks Brazil out in the first round. He knocks him out in the first round, so we're not seeing any scoring. But leading up to that 7th round, there was people in the house like, this fight is boring. It is what it is. Not everyone needs to be entertained by that. Not everyone is a hater if they don't like Wilder or don't prefer Wilder. Some people prefer Mayweather. Some people don't. Some people don't like Mayweather. People think that he's boring. He doesn't get any knockouts. He's too technical. Some people love Mayweather. Some people don't. And there's fighters that's in between where they're like they'll outbox you, but they'll be willing to knock you out, like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is a fighter that boxes, is an extremely technical fighter that will knock you out at the same time. He doesn't always get knockouts, but he gets them here and there. He got one against Kovalev recently. So it's like the extremes are the people that are kind of annoying. Like whatever, look at the people that attacked Mayweather for saying that he thought Fury was up on points in that fight. Look at the people that attacked Andre Ward because Andre Ward made his comment about Wilder not wanting the rematch or he does not want to go through that again. Look at the people that attacked him, said the disrespectful things to his family and everything like that. Those are the extremes that I'm talking about here. Those are the extremes. Those are fanboys of another level. And every fighter has fanboys. There's fanboys. A fanboy is someone that is going to back the fighter no matter what they do. Even if they have a rough night, they are going to defend that fighter to the death. There are fighters like Triple G, for example. Look at Triple G, right? Different background, looks different, from a different part of the world, totally different fighter, right? All opposites of Deontay Wilder. But when Triple G was fighting guys that are on the same level as the fighters that Wilder is facing, and he was knocking all of these guys out, people that like Wilder were calling Triple G a fanboy. I mean, a hype job. The same fan base that loves Wilder for doing what he's doing were discrediting Triple G. And I was saying this back then. And I flipped it, and I also said, well, the people that love Triple G are trying to discredit Errol Spence, because Errol Spence was pretty much doing the same thing Triple G was doing. And this is what I mean about extremes. Of course, race plays a part in it. Of course, race plays a part. I'm not going to act like race doesn't play a part. There are a lot of extreme fanboys that like a fighter specifically because of race, or dislike a fighter specifically because of race, you know? But what I'm saying is, what Wilder is doing and getting all these knockouts, cool, great. He just earned his 10th title defense. Historically, his name will always be mentioned forever because he had 10 title defenses with the WBC. So his name will always be mentioned amongst heavyweights years from now. People are going to bring this up because not that many, all the other guys that's done it, they're all-time greats. All the other guys is the Klitschko's and the Ali and all these other fighters that's done it before him. They're going to be viewed as all-time greats. So what Wilder did, yes, was amazing. Did he fight the very, very best? Did he fight the very, very best? No, I don't believe so. Okay, I think Ortiz and Fury obviously were the two best fighters that he's faced. He faced both of them within a year. Had a rematch with Ortiz, which I didn't think was necessary, but it wasn't the worst fight in the world. You know, I just kind of want to see Ortiz. I want to see what Ortiz can do outside of Deontay Wilder. And I said this before the fight. I said, if Ortiz win or lose, I still want to see him face some of the other top heavyweights in the division. You know, whether it's Alexander Povetkin, whether it's Joseph Parker, Dillian White, whoever. I still want to see Ortiz at least face one other fighter so we can sit here and compare his performance against these other fighters to, you know, some of the other top heavyweights in the division. So I would like to see it. It would give these wins, these Deontay Wilder wins that he has over Ortiz, they would be more valid if we knew how Ortiz would look against some of the other top fighters, because he hasn't fought any of the other top fighters. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and place blame on what and who didn't want to fight him, or who, you know, I'm not going to go there. What I'm saying is he hasn't actually been in the ring with other top heavyweights. And when you say that, some of these Wilder fans get out of control. You know, I mean, look, I'm a guy that has been bigging up Ortiz throughout his whole career on this channel. I've been pushing Ortiz. I was the one pushing the Ortiz fight to begin with. I wanted Wilder to face Ortiz, but I wanted Wilder to face some other guys too. You know, these guys, if you look at, let's be honest here. When you look at Duhaupas, when you look at Arthur Spilka, right? Duhaupas, Arthur Spilka, Berman Stavern rematch, Gerald Washington, Gerald Washington, Malik Scott. I don't think he was in the title defenses, but Chris Arreola, Dominic Brazil. They're all fighters that I thought he should have been facing before he even had a title fight. Like, all those fighters are guys that I thought it would have been a nice step up for him before even getting a title fight. Because I was making videos back then I was making breakdowns. Before all these new guys came out of nowhere, I was making videos about Wilder breaking down the fights that he was having back then with Malik Scott and all these other guys he was facing back then. I was on here making videos about that. Okay? And back then I was saying, I remember when Malik Scott was an actual step up for Wilder. I remember actually doing a breakdown for that fight. Because at that time, Malik Scott was a step up for him. And at that point, Wilder, I think, already had over 30 fights. He was either approaching 30 or he already had his 30th professional fight. So these are fights that, you know, you're 30 wins, 30 knockouts at this point, and you're still fighting guys that are below, like far below the top 20 heavyweights at that time. You know? So, you know, I think the extremes just gotta chill out. Not everybody is going to like him, okay? But you have to give him credit, because if he was totally overrated, he would have been knocked out or he would have lost to someone by now. You know, you don't beat all of those guys and be a bum. And that's the flip side of it. These are people that are totally discrediting everything he's done. And I think that's wrong too, because you don't beat all of those guys and be a bum. You know? My bad, I want to get my phone. Yeah, let me call you right back. Yeah, you don't totally beat all of those guys and still be a bum. I mean, he's been in the ring with Tyson Fury, and even though I thought he lost the fight on points, I think I gave Fury 8 rounds solid. I gave him 8 rounds. So on points, I think Fury won the fight, even with the knockouts or knockdowns. Still, you have to give Wilder credit for knocking the guy down twice in that fight. You know, it's not like Fury's getting knocked down by every other fighter he's faced. I mean, this guy's been in the ring with Chisora twice. You see what Chisora is doing. He's been in there with Klitschko. You know, he's been in there with a few good fighters. He's been knocked down before, but Wilder was very close of knocking him out. Very, very close. And I still think Fury won. I thought he clearly won, but still, we got to see that rematch. And the fact that Wilder did as good as he did against Fury, and I know Fury was coming back. You know, he was just his third fight back. He just came back that year. He was trying to get back in the rhythm of things. Still, what he did against Fury, maybe Fury definitely wasn't at his absolute best, but you still got to give him some kind of credit for what he's done. I do give him credit for what he's done. I think he should be fighting at the absolute elite level. And even though he's had 10, title defenses, which is great, the people that's on that list are not they're not that great. All right? They're not. Let's be real. Not everybody had 10 title defenses without losses. I think Lennox Lewis, I don't believe Lennox had 10. You know, I think the Hasim Rahman fight might have messed that up. You know, but he went on to beat him and knock him out in a rematch. Right? So he gets credit for that. But look at who Lewis was facing over the years. Look at Holyfield. Look at who he was facing. Michael Moore, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. You know, these guys were fighting different fighters. So even though they don't have 10 plus defenses, look at who they were facing. Look at Anthony Joshua. You know, the fact that, yes, he did lose to Andy Ruiz, but Andy Ruiz was an actual replacement that is a fighter that you should be preparing a full camp for. You know, what happened? What did I say when Gerald Miller tested positive and the fight was canceled? I said that Andy Ruiz was a better fighter than Gerald Miller. And even though I thought Anthony Joshua would win the fight, I didn't think Joshua was going to knock Ruiz out. I knew that fight was going to go to decision. You know, well, it didn't. He lost. He got knocked out. It was completely wrong. But it's not like I was totally underestimating Andy Ruiz like most people were. You know, Andy Ruiz was always a better fighter than Gerald Miller. He was always a better, more proven. His one loss to Joseph Parker, his performance in that fight was still better than anything that Gerald Miller has done. Every win that he's had, that Andy Ruiz loss is still more impressive than anything Gerald Miller has done as a heavyweight. even though he's never lost. Just because of who he was facing, how he lost the fight. Most people thought, well, not most, but many people thought he won that fight. Okay, that was a very close fight. I gotta go back and watch it one of these days. But Wilder, it is a great. It's a great to have 10 title defenses because it's very hard to do that. But the level of fighters he faced, and I'm not going to just criticize him. The level of fighters that the Klitschko brothers was facing over those years weren't that great neither. They weren't that great neither. You know, when you go back and look at their defenses, I think, Vitali fought, was it Corey Sanders he fought and beat? Yeah, because Corey beat Vladimir, and then his brother went and avenged that loss. And Chris Bird beat Vitaly Klitschko, and then Vladimir ended up avenging that loss for his brother. But the brothers never fought the brothers, obviously. And those were the two best heavyweights. It was a weaker era. It was a weaker era in boxing. It is. And Lennox Lewis beat Klitschko. He beat Vitaly Klitschko. So, you got to look at these other fighters and the other generations. And I'm not going to even go as far as Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali and all these other fighters. I'm not going to go all the way far back. But I just wanted to bring up a point. I'm bringing up the fighters that I did actually grow up watching a fight, and I'm bringing them up. The fighters in the 90s, the 80s, the 90s, and so on. Is Wilder's 10 defensive the most impressive? No, I don't believe so. There weren't any top fighters there. You had Fury there, but he didn't beat Fury. Okay, he had a draw with him, and most people think he lost. I think Luis Ortiz was a good win for sure, but I don't want to overrate the win. Yes, Ortiz could be one of the other best heavyweights. He could be, but it was never proven. It was never really proven. When I say that, because Joshua is my number one heavyweight, right? He's my personal favorite. My second personal favorite heavyweight is Luis Ortiz. A lot of you guys don't even realize that when I picked Ortiz to beat Wilder, I also thought Ortiz could beat Anthony Joshua. Yeah, I know you guys called me haters, coon, all that shit. I said the same thing. I didn't think Joshua could beat Ortiz neither. I thought he was just too. I thought Ortiz was too technical for Anthony Joshua at the time, and I didn't like. I thought Ortiz could beat both. I never thought Ortiz could beat Tyson Fury though. And I didn't know how he would fare against Klitschko, but I didn't know. I didn't think either Joshua or Wilder had a good shot against Ortiz. And that's just my own personal view of the fighters. That's how I felt back then. I probably said this on the channel back then, but I don't know. I had discussions. I know I definitely had discussion with friends about that and Ortiz coming up. I was a big Ortiz fan. I thought, when I first saw him fighting on Fox Sports 1 under Golden Boy at the time, I thought he was one of the best fighters. I think he was I was thought he had a chance to be one of the champions. So I believe that, but he didn't actually prove it. And I still want him to prove it, even though he's older. He's older, but he looked impressive against Wilder. He made a mistake, got caught, and got knocked out. It is what it is. All right. So moving on. Wilder at this point, I did a poll on the channel. I did a poll on the channel the other day, and I said that, who's the best heavyweight right now? If everybody, these top five, and I didn't include Dillian White only because I just wanted to make the conversation a little bit more interesting by adding Alexander Usyk, because a lot of people are bringing him up. A lot of people feel that skill-wise, he might be the best heavyweight. I said Deontay Wilder, Joshua, Fury, Ruiz, and Usyk. Those five. You can only do five the most. And out of those five, 50%, nearly 50% picked Deontay Wilder to be the best. I think second was Tyson Fury. I think second was Fury. I think third was AJ. And fourth was either Ruiz and Usyk. They were like less than 10%, both of them. All right. I didn't check. I haven't checked in a few days, but over 1,000 votes. I don't know, but maybe about 1,200 votes. And 50% was Wilder, or 47%. All right. He kind of destroyed it. But this is I did this poll a couple of days after Wilder won, so a lot of people are going to go with Wilder, and a lot of people feel that way. I mean, look at the year he's had compared to AJ and Tyson Fury. Fury beat you know he who's the first guy he fought? I can't remember who he fought this year. I can't think of his name right now. But the fight against Otto Wilder, you have that kind of performance. Not a lot of people are going to go out and say, hey, well, you can beat Wilder, not after that performance. When Wilder knocks out Ortiz and dominates Brazil in the same year, it would make sense to pick Wilder, you know? So, I did the poll and wasn't surprised at all. I also said in my review, I think Wilder I personally think that Wilder would be the toughest to beat because if you can't knock him out, you would have to. You'll always be in danger. You're in danger in the very first round, as Dominic Brazil. But you'll always be in danger if you can't actually stop him. Look what happened to Luis Ortiz. Look what almost happened to Tyson Fury. I think Wilder. I would probably vote Wilder myself as well. If all five fighters. I think Joshua has the best chance of knocking Wilder out because he has power as well. I think if Joshua and Wilder, and I've done this video, I think I've done 2 breakdowns of Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder on this channel before. And I've switched my opinions in the past. But right now, 2019, going in 2020, without having to see the Joshua Ruiz rematch, I would say Joshua has a very good chance of knocking out Wilder. But if he doesn't knock Wilder out early, Wilder knocks him out. And Wilder can actually knock him out early as well. He's always dangerous. So I think Joshua, if they were to face, I think I would probably pick Wilder to beat Anthony Joshua. I think Tyson Fury honestly has the best chance of beating Wilder, as we seen in the first fight. Even in a rematch, I think Tyson Fury, who's had 5 fights since he came out of retirement, I think he has a better chance of winning in a rematch. He's experienced. He had experience fighting Wilder, but Wilder has experience of fighting him too as well. Usyk. The thing about Usyk, I know I added him in the poll, but the thing about Usyk, it's too early to call. I know what he did at cruiserweight. I do consider him a top 5 or so pound for pound fighter because of what he did at cruiser. But that Chaz Witherspoon fight didn't sell me. It was a good way to, showcase your skills at heavyweight, but that's not a fight that I'm going to watch and be like, well, he could beat Wilder. I don't think he could beat Wilder. I don't think he can stay out of the way of that right hand all night long. I think the only person that can stay way out of it is Tyson Fury, and even he got clipped. He got clipped at the very end, but he got clipped. It is what it is. Everybody's going to get touched by it. That's why I think Joshua would have the better chance because Joshua can actually hurt Wilder and possibly get him out of there. I believe Joshua hit harder than Luis Ortiz. And I think that he would be the hardest puncher that Wilder has faced. So there's a good chance Wilder can get hurt by Joshua. But Usyk, the thing about Usyk is I just want to see a little bit more before I start just saying he's the best heavyweight. I'm not completely sold. He did do great work as a cruiserweight. He fought great fighters at cruiserweight. Don't get it twisted. But as a heavyweight, I want to see more. A lot of people are already, I already seen people saying that Wilder is ducking him, and or all of these fighters are ducking them. That's ridiculous. You know, he is a smaller guy, and I know he has experience of fighting some of these heavyweights. I know he's fought some of them before he became pro and stuff. That's cool, but I just want to see more. Andy Ruiz. Obviously, I want to see what he does in a rematch, but I don't think he beats Wilder. I think Wilder is going to catch him. I think Wilder's going to catch him more at some point. I think the best chances of seeing Wilder lose would be to Joshua or Fury. I don't think Usyk I think Usyk would give the most issues to is Tyson Fury. I think Usyk would be a tough fight for Tyson Fury for sure. Everybody else, I'm not sure yet, but Fury he would be because Fury doesn't pack the same kind of power of these other guys. It would definitely be a very technical fight between two technical fighters. Um, and I would like to see how the styles would match up. I think the styles would match up well for both in that fight. But I don't think he should be fighting Wilder or any of the other guys right just yet. So I'm trying to think. I think I brought up most of the topics that I wanted to speak on in this. It looks like these guys are going to fight in a rematch early next year, which is great. It's what I want. Uh, in a perfect world, Wilder and Fury has their rematch, and the winner fights the winner of Ruiz and Joshua. That's what I would like. I don't think we're gonna get that, but it's very possible. If Wilder is to go on to win the rematch against Tyson Fury, and Ruiz does win against Anthony Joshua, I think we could get a undisputed match at some point next year. Now I don't know what's gonna happen with the IBF because I know they're really pushing the Pulev fight. I hope that doesn't get in the way, but it's probably gonna get. They're probably gonna get stripped at some point if they don't fight Pulev next. But regardless, we really could get an undisputed fight in 2020 and turn this whole thing around because I just think this year didn't go in the favor of the heavyweight division, especially with Joshua losing and stuff like that. Joshua losing to Ruiz, Gerald Miller testing positive, Dillian White testing positive, all this stuff. I think it kind of messed up everything in the heavyweight division. But Wilder right now is still doing his thing because he did knock out Ortiz again, and he did knock out, you know, Brazil. But as far as him being a 10 title defensive fighter, it's a good win. It's a great accomplishment. Not everyone can do that, but fighters fought better fighters. Other fighters fought better fighters. At the end of the day, uh, Tyson Fury did fight Vladimir Klitschko, and Shelly Finkel did go on and he did make it public that they didn't think Wilder was ready to fight Klitschko back then. All right, he put that out there. It's not like I'm making that shit up. It's not that I'm hating by saying that. That's what he said. I didn't make that up. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with his team not feeling he was ready for certain fights. This is exactly why he took so long to fight the very elite. He waited to 2018 to fight the very best fighters in his career. And he's been boxing professionally for what, like over 10 years now, probably. So he's gotten better over the years. He's gotten much better over the years. And sometimes fighters need more time to season. And I think that is what happened with Deontay Wilder. It's just that I was fine with it until they try to make it seem like he's been chasing out after all of these. Maybe a couple years ago, they started this whole narrative that Joshua, Klitschko, and all of these fighters were ducking him. And that's when I had an issue because I'm like, no, these fighters were around. Some of these fighters were around when you were getting all of these knockouts, when you were 20 and 0, 30 and 0. Where were you then? And if you were still developing as a fighter, which he was, just be humble and admit that. Instead of making it seem like these fighters were ducking you and running from you. You were never really trying to get in the ring with a lot of these fighters. And to be honest, it was probably a good thing that you didn't get in the ring with some of these fighters earlier in your career because you probably would have had a loss by now. If you were fighting some of the fighters that Joshua was fighting up to this point. If he had fought Povetkin, I know he was trying to fight Povetkin, so that's not his fault. The Povetkin fight didn't happen because, of the traces of meldonium that was found in his blood and stuff like that. But that's not Wilder's fault. But a lot of those other top 10, those 10 title defensive, we didn't need to see a rematch with Ortiz. We didn't need to see a rematch with Burmester Vern. And then a lot of those other fighters that I named earlier, like, they weren't top heavyweights. You know, let's be honest. Like, Eric Molina wasn't a top heavyweight. I know AJ fought him too, but AJ fought the better fighters. He definitely did. He fought Joseph Parker, Dillian White, Klitschko. Uh, who else he fought? He fought Andy Ruiz, lost to him. All right. He fought the better fighters. He fought Brazil first. He fought undefeated Brazil. Okay. He fought Charles Martin, undefeated. He fought a lot of guys that were undefeated. I think he took the bigger risk early in his career. He definitely did. I give Wilder the credit for Ortiz, and he did fight Tyson Fury. But he fought a Fury that was just getting, bouncing back into the game. He didn't fight Tyson Fury when Fury was at the top. He fought Luis Ortiz, yes, but that is one fighter. That's one type heavyweight who's yet to fight another top heavyweight himself. So, still waiting to see what he can do. I personally do think that, like in that poll, I would probably pick Wilder to have the most wins out of the top five. Uh, Going around the circles, I think that Joshua would have a better chance of fighting Fury, in my opinion. I always thought that Joshua, for some reason, I think Joshua would do well against Tyson Fury. I thought Wilder was always a bad matchup for Tyson Fury. Even if I don't know where I'm gonna go with the rematch. I know I picked Wilder in the first fight. I was definitely wrong there because I think Fury won. But I think out of all of the fighters there, I think if they all were to fight each other, face each other, and even if you add Dillian White again, I would still probably say that I think Wilder might have the most wins out of everyone. I think maybe one of those fights he would lose, maybe two. Who knows? But that's the thing with the heavyweight division. I don't think anyone really reigns supreme. I think if everyone really just fought every best fighter, no one would be undefeated. I don't think anyone has proven to me that they can absolutely dominate the division. Not one of those fighters. Not AJ, not Fury, not Wilder, not Ruiz, not Dillian White, not Usyk. Not one of them has proven me as a heavyweight. There's something wrong with each one of their resumes. There's something that I could point out, or just something about their skill set. They all have flaws. None of them are perfect. None of them are fully complete, and that's fine. That's what make the heavyweight division competitive. But there's not one single thing about any of those fighters that would make me say that, oh, this guy can beat all of them. There's something that I could point out with everyone. And when it comes back to Wilder, look at the fight. Look at the fight against Ortiz. He's arguably lost 5, 6 rounds leading up into the knockout. You know, so if the knockout doesn't come like the Tyson Fury fight, you know, how would he look on points? Knockouts are great to have, but what if you don't get it? What if you don't get it? Can some of these other boxers outbox him possibly round per round? Yeah, I think Usyk would possibly outbox Wilder. If he doesn't get knocked out, there's a chance that Usyk might win. There's a chance that uh, Andy Ruiz might beat Wilder if he doesn't get knocked out. Same with Joshua. Same with Fury in a rematch. You know, same with Dillian White. There's a possibility that all of these fighters are better on the points. But if Wilder knocks you out, he gets the win, he does the knockout, it won't matter. Of course. Of course. All right? So we just got to wait and see what happens. 2020 is coming up. Joshua Ruiz is coming up next weekend. And we can further continue having this discussion on who's the best heavyweight. But I wanted to just make this video solely, mainly about Wilder. Great career. Another thing, too, is he's 34 now. So, you know, at some point, the athleticism, as I do believe he is getting better, because he's getting better at mastering and timing that right hand. He's very confident now that that punch is. I mean, he know that was always his bread and butter, but he's found different ways of effectively landing that shot. And listen, he knows that's his bread and butter, and whatever works, keep doing it. You know, whatever works. If that's what's working, keep doing it. Keep on doing it. But I think at 34, you know, how many more years to go? And that's why I hope we get a unification match at some point, because once he hits, you know, what age will the athleticism, and athleticism plays a big part. At what age will the slow down, the decline begin? Because now, you know, these other guys, Fury, Joshua, some of these other guys are just hitting 30. They're just at their prime right now. So that's another thing with Wilder. How long is he going to keep going? You know, how much longer does he actually have? All right, so hopefully 2020, you know, 2021, the latest, hopefully we'll have an undisputed heavyweight champion. And I think that feat would be still bigger than the 10 title defenses. Good. 10 title defenses. Good. But there's no undisputeds there. There's no unification there. There's no, you know, there were other top heavyweights looming in the division when you had those 10 title defenses. You know, there were other better guys. Yes, the Klitschko brothers, for a lot of guys in there that I really didn't care about. They really weren't that good. But at the time, it was a weaker era, and they still fought the very best outside of not fighting each other. They still fought the very best. One of the two fought one of the other best heavyweights that was actively boxing at that time. All right, so I think that's all. I don't want to drag this out any longer. There's other videos I have to do, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and drop your comments, like, dislike, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.